The Triad Extreme cover model is very similar to the Universal as far as the accessories you receive with the machine. The following, located here, secured to the base of the machine by these 4 screws, is the overlap guide plate. In addition, you also receive the standard hem guide. This standard hem guide is attached to the machine via the 2 retaining rods that are located coming from the wedge housing. You also receive the fin guide. This particular plate with the edge on the underneath side here allows for a fin style weld. This particular plate and guide is actually assembled on this side of the machine, which will be showed later. From the front side, you receive not only the 2 front guides that were shown earlier, but also the pocket opening guide, an inner guide bar to hold that pocket shape. You receive the smooth steel rollers and emery cloth material, tools, cleaning brush, and full written instructions. And would like to show you some specific points on the machine as we look from all 4 sides of the machine. Beginning in what's considered the front of the machine, you will notice the front material guides. These particular guides are adjustable according to the different seam width that you are welding, or there are further front guide pieces that help you in hemming style finishes and operation. These other front guide pieces will be introduced during the particular machine, the particular Triad that you may have. From the one side of the machine, you'll notice the 2 roller bearings on either side, which are used in our track section for the smooth running of the machine within that track rail system. In addition to that, you'll notice the cover here, which again, further described in maintenance, will be the lower final roller chain and tensioning that you will do as a maintenance to the machine itself. Further, you will notice the 2 carriage wheels on this side, again for the smooth rolling of the machine either on a floor or table surface or within our track sections. From the rear of the machine, you will notice the upper roller pinch arm as well as the lower pinch roller. These 2, of course, come together when the welding takes place, as they pinch them melted coated together to form the bonding of the weld. In addition to that, you'll also notice the drive wheel located here. When the wheel is out in this particular position, the machine is either stationary for small pieces to weld through the machine, or for easy transport of the machine when moving it from one place to another. With the drive wheel then pushed underneath the machine and making contact to the lower pinch roller, now the machine is a self-propelled machine. During your welding time and engagement of the weld lever arm, the roller will automatically turn and the drive roller will begin to move the machine in a self-propelled nature. When you're finished welding, all will come to a stop. From this side of the machine, once again, you will notice the 2 roller bearings for easy moving through the track section. You'll also notice the wedge housing with where the hot wedge is placed within. This housing allows for protection for the operator when he's working with the different guide pieces to form the different weld finish styles, which will be explained to you later. Here is the upper pressure roller arm. This also has a chain and tensioning system, which will be described to you in the maintenance of the machine. The lever arm here is used for the engagement of the wedge when you're ready to begin welding. In this particular position, the wedge is stowed in the house, but when turned inward, the wedge is pushed out to the pressure rollers here, and the welding then begins. As an introduction to the top cover and the various operating features of the Triad Extreme, I'd like to point out some of the switches and the adjustments you will make for the proper bonding of thermoplastic coated textiles. First off, the Triad is either available in a 110 volt or 230 volt power supply. On the 110, your plug should work on a common power source. 230, you will add the according plug to your particular country style, and again, running on a single phase electrical power source. Further, your first switch here is the on-off switch to provide power to the unit itself. And when this switch is turned on, you'll notice that the green light comes on, showing that power is coming to the unit. In addition to that, you'll also notice that the Wattlow controller turns on, and you will see the display of the temperature setting as well as the current temperature of the unit, or excuse me, of the hot wedge on the machine. The second switch we have down here is the ability of the roller wheels to work in either a manual mode or in an automatic mode. In the manual mode, the wheels will turn on their own, with you being able to adjust the speed of those roller wheels. In the automatic mode, the wheels will turn when you engage the wedge lever arm in the welding position. And when that lever is pulled away, the wheels will stop. For the direction of the machine, you also have the ability of the wheels to go in a forward, in a neutral or not moving, and finally a reverse position. So by switching the switch here, you are able to move the direction of the machine in either a forward motion, leaving it neutral without the wheels turning, or bringing it in a reverse motion. You'll notice we have 3 fuses on top, one for the heat source, one for the general control of the machine, and finally one for the motor. Finally, the most important aspect of the machine would be in this area here, where you're determining the proper temperature, the proper speed of the machine, as well as the proper pressure of the pinch rollers in the back to create the best bond. The Wattlow controller is basically controlled with either these up or down arrows for you to set a particular temperature. When you hold down on the up arrow, you will notice that the green turns on and you are able to make adjustments to the temperature. When releasing, the green will show you the set temperature that you've desired, and the red numbers begin to increase, which is showing you that power is now going to the hot wedge and beginning to climb the temperature to what you have set. For the speed control here, the numbers reflect basically a 0 or minimum or no speed to a 100% of the maximum speed of the machine, which is approximately 10 meters per minute or about 30 feet per minute. So as we use the dial, for example, in 50 number, you are running the motor at about 50% of its capacity. The combination between the temperature that you desire and work with and the speed are the main elements to give you the quality weld. Finally, the pressure adjustment gives you the ability to either increase or decrease the temperature. By screwing the knob down, you gain pressure to increase the pinch of the rollers on thicker coated materials. And on thinner materials, you might reduce that so that, again, you don't have as much of a pinch on the thinner plastic coating. Another important aspect to speak of from the operation of the Triad Extreme are the two lever arm mechanisms. The first mechanism here, this lever arm, is used for the pinch roller engagement to either open the pinch rollers so that you can now enter in your material and position it correctly at the beginning of the welding, and then when positioned correctly, to close the rollers in order to begin the welding process. The second lever, which is used in the operation of the machine, is the wedge engagement lever located here. In this particular position, the engagement lever is considered in the out position so that the hot wedge is stowed inside the wedge housing. When you are ready for the welding process, the lever is turned into the pinch rollers, and at the same time, via the automatic mode switch, the wheels begin turning to begin the welding process. If there are any problems that you're experiencing during welding, or when you've come to the end of the weld, you pull the wedge lever out so that all action stops. Presenting the Triad Extreme cover model, I'd like to introduce you to a bit of a difference from the other Triad machines to the cover model itself. And that difference is namely the width of the machine. The Triad Extreme cover has a wider base body that allows for a larger single fold of material to be entered in and welded in comparison to the other Triad models. The Triad Extreme cover goes back to the standard wedge housing that you see here, as well as the standard Triad wedge that you see in this position. This wedge size can vary from 1/2 inch to 2 inch as far as seam width is concerned. We're working with the standard wedge housing that has not only the top guide located here for the upper sheet of material, but also has the inner guide used here for the pocket folding shape. The Triad cover, as mentioned before, with the wider base, has a much wider throat opening here for a single fold of material to enter in. The opening you see here in front of the machine, along with the two upper and lower material front guides. And note also in this position the continued throat opening under the machine for that single fold of pocket to come through. For the placement of the guides, the overlap guide is secured to the machine from the 4 set screws you see located here. Once loosening those screws, you are able to remove the overlap guide plate. This is the overlap guide plate, where the material runs along the edge underneath here, forming an overlap weld. When that is removed, the hem guide can be applied by attaching the hem guide on the 2 retaining rods from the wedge housing. Slide the hem guide up and onto near the housing for the hem style weld. For the pocket weld, this guide can be slid out to form, again, a pocket style weld with the assistance of the inner guide that comes from the wedge housing. For the fin weld guide, it is applied on this side of the machine. If you will notice the slot opening here, it matches the tab that's shown on the guide here. Set the guide in on the base till it slips in the tab, and you have an adjustment ability for different welding widths. A screw is provided, which is placed here for the securing of that guide. From the front side of the machine, you'll notice that the two front material guides, which are used for the overlap weld, are attached. By loosening the screw here and removing, as well as loosening the inner screw, you're able to remove this part so that one or both of the guides are able to be removed. This is the front pocket guide, which slides on, helping to create the pocket shape for, again, a larger single fold of material. With this guide attached, you may also use the assistance of the retaining rod located here, which slides through the lower opening and allows you to place a position here, trapping the material in this fold formation going through the opening or throat opening of the machine. For the overlap style weld, if not already attached to the machine, begin by installing the overlap guide by placing in this position and tightening the 4 thumb screws. If adjustment is needed for different welding widths, this adjustment can be found by using the Allen key on the adjustment screw there. The recommendation would be to take a straight edge and place it through the lower side of the machine so it's up against the guide edge, as you see here, and slid all the way through so it's positioned to the pinch rollers at the back of the welding area. These pinch rollers, which match the size of the wedge, will then be able to position the overlap guide plate. Once positioned, use the Allen key to tighten, and you're ready for welding. When ready for welding, bring the machine into the track or other system you may be using for tracking the welder. Pick up the back and make sure to bring the drive wheel to the underneath side so that it makes contact to the lower pressure roller, enabling the machine when you are welding to be in a self-propelled motion. With the lower sheet of material, enter it from the lower side all the way through to the front guide measurement here, and sliding underneath the overlap plate out and beyond the welding area. The overlap plate with its guide edge will give you a marker as to the positioning of the material in respect to the rollers. Take the upper sheet of material and enter it through the upper portion of the machine, overlapping the material out in front and up against that front guide, as well as in and up against the top guide located on the top of the wedge housing. At this point, you can position your material right at the top of the roller to begin the welding right at the beginning of the edge. Lower the pinch roller engagement lever to secure material in position for welding. When you're ready for welding, make sure that you have the machine in the automatic mode as well as in the forward position, and having done previously tests of the material, the thermoplastic material, make sure that you have the correct temperature, speed with which the machine will move, as well as pressure on the pinch point here to create the quality bond that you are desiring. Again, take sample material first, making different adjustments to temperature, speed, and pressure to come to the point where you've achieved the bonding that you are looking for. When ready for welding, the operator will position himself in front of the machine, making sure that the material enters into the machine as it's driving towards them, and the material is up against the different front guides that are shown in position here. Reach forward to the wedge engagement lever and turn it quickly to the in position to begin the welding. You'll be able to notice the weld being up against the guide edge through the center portion here, as well as judging the quality of the weld that you see coming from the actual welding process. When completed, disengage the welding arm, lever arm, as you've just completed the overlap weld. For the hem weld, begin by removing any particular guide, such as the overlap guide here. Begin by removing this so to open the space for the hem guide. After removing, the hem guide can be placed upon the two retaining rods and gently tightened for position. In addition, you will want to change the front guide from the overlap using the upper and lower front material guides, and by removing the lower portion, you're able to install the pocket guide. This pocket guide will be free floating in a sense, so that it would match any particular lay flat size of pocket that you desire to make. For setting up for the pocket weld finish, again, make sure that the drive roller is underneath, making contact with the lower pinch roller so that the machine moves in a self-propelled action. In front of the machine, make a soft fold for the desired pocket size that you're looking to make. Once folded, insert the pocket into the lower side of the machine and all the way through to the welding area. At this point in time, you can take the edge of the material here and move it up into the top guide, which is located on the top of the wedge housing. Make sure that your edge of material contacts that top guide. At this point, the inner housing part, if desired, can be extended out to match the size pocket that you're looking to make. With the inner guide extended outwards and the material brought back into the welding position, move the hem guide in so that it traps the turn of the material, the fold of the material in a position. This should be a comfortable movement through the guide system. Bring the material back to the top of the rollers and close the rollers to prepare for the welding. After positioning the material near the welding area, the front pocket guide can be used to again determine the final size of your lay flat pocket. Plus, the retaining rod can also be slid in this position and brought out, nearly making contact with the material and tightening. So again, the material is trapped in this certain particular size that you're wishing to weld. Having positioned the material both in front of the machine as well as in the welding area, you're ready to begin welding. Again, make sure that your temperature, speed, and pressure are matched for the quality bonding that you're looking from a thermoplastic material you're welding. The operator should be in front to retain that particular size that you've made here as the machine approaches. You can reach back for the lever arm and engage this to begin the welding. Concentrate in front as well as in the inner opening here and the quality of the weld that you're seeing at this point to match the desired quality you're looking for. You can make changes during welding with the speed to again equal the quality weld that you are working with. When finished welding, pull the lever out to stop the welding process, and your pocket has been completed. For the fin style weld, be sure to remove any particular guide that was on the machine previously for your welding and install the fin guide plate. The fin guide is positioned on this side of the Triad cover machine. Locate the tab and position it to the slot that's located in the base of the machine. You'll notice that it will drop in position and has the ability to be moved into a proper welding width. Secure the screw in position and use a straight edge through the machine, the lower side of the machine, and up against that fin guide so that you'll match it according to the pinch rollers. Matching it according to the pinch rollers in this position here. When that has been positioned, fully tighten the screw to secure. In setting the material for the fin weld, again, make sure the drive roller is underneath for a self-propelled movement of the machine, and the two pieces of material overlapped will enter into the machine from the upper side. Take the lower sheet of material and bring it down and through the lower fin guide plate that you've just installed. Take the other sheet of material and position it up on the top guide, up against the top guide edge here of the wedge housing, and then position both sheets of material at the welding area here. When positioned correctly, lower the pinch rollers to secure. For the welding of the fin weld finish style, the operator will want to take care that both pieces of material are entering into the machine at the front guide located here. In addition, the operator will want to look in this area to make sure that the material is as well splitting apart to the lower guide and the upper guide. And further, watch the quality of the weld and make any adjustments that you need to so that you have a quality bonding from start to finish. Engage the wedge and allow the fin welding to take place. When completed, move the wedge out from the welding area and you've made the fin weld. Another weld example to show you with the Triad Extreme cover would be the welding of a reinforcement strip, or often called weldable webbing, to a large sheet of material. Begin by removing any and all of the guides that are located in and near the welding area. But do keep the guide in front for the pocket. Make sure that the drive roller is located underneath for a self-propelled movement of the machine, and also keep nearby the lower portion of the front material guide, and you can hold that here to be demonstrated later for positioning of the tape. With your material, determine first where the banding will be located. Make a note with a pen or a marking where that position is. And make a soft fold in the material, as shown here, so that you're able to enter the material into the lower side of the Triad cover. Use that pocket guide as an edge mark for the positioning of the material, with the banding again and the notation of the banding to be positioned right here. Bring the material through the opening and on the lower side and position near the welding area. Add the weldable webbing by entering it from the top side and placing it up against the top guide here. Use the front material guide to secure that tape in position and keep it controlled during the welding process. Now, position the taping at the material and close the pinch rollers to then secure in the welding position. When welding, concentrate to keep the amount of folded material you have evenly flowing through the machine, and the tape banding to be located in this area here next to the upper front material guide. Make sure you have set your temperature and speed appropriately, and engage the wedge lever arm to begin the welding. When completed, you have welded the banding onto the material at that desired position.